Towards the cloud. Wonderful. So we've started recording, and this is our Canadian Voice of Women for Peace annual general meeting of 2020. Welcome, everybody. Lynn, I will hand it over to you to do your intro.
Thank you. Okay, so I want to say to all of our members and all of our visitors today that we are very thankful for your support and involvement as we raise our voices for peace and climate justice in Canada and around the world. As members, you make this possible. This is a very important year for us. It's our 60th anniversary, and the issues that gave rise to the creation of VOW in 1960 still require our resolve and our dedication. This is also the first year that we've been on Zoom, and we thank you all for showing up via our online connection and taking part in this anniversary event. We also have an anniversary event on Monday evening, 60th anniversary storytelling. It'll be very special with 12 6-minute stories. And so maybe we can put the link in the chat and you can sign up for that. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern on Monday. It'll be very special celebration. So today we'll get a lot of work done, and on Monday we'll celebrate. Our activism this year couldn't be more important. We face a world with rising carbon emissions and the nuclear clock's warning of 100 seconds to midnight. Yet it's also a time of great opportunity. The need for change is widely recognized. The Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons has passed the threshold to enter international law. Our challenge now is to bring Canada into this treaty. We have a government open to the development of a Green New Deal, a transition to a renewable economy for the future. It's our challenge to raise the imperative of investing our financial resources as a country, not in fighter jets or pipelines, but in community needs and urgent environmental action to ensure a living world for the future. It's our 60th anniversary, and it's also the 20th anniversary of UN Security Council Resolution 1325 that supports the inclusion of women's voices at all stages of peace building, before, during, and post-conflict. This is an important focus of our work. It's also the eve of Remembrance Day this week, and it's a time when we really dedicate ourselves to the saying that to remember is to end all war. That is an important for us to remember this week and always. So we will have white poppies with us in our mind today. Even if we're not physically out laying those white poppies, we know that others will be during the week. And we remember just how important our work is in preventing future wars. We express our thanks to our very capable coordinator, Vanessa Lantain. Thank you, Vanessa. And for our board members and for all of you who have volunteered your time this year. Please join us in continuing action across the country in the coming year. So welcome everyone, and over to you, Vanessa, for the introductory breakouts, please.
Okay, thank you, Lynn, for that wonderful intro. We're going to be being divided up into breakout rooms. So you should see something pop up on your screen, and you should be shuffled into a different room, and there'll be 4 to 5 participants in each room. It's going to be 10 rooms, which is great. So we're hoping that you will introduce yourself, where you're located, what peace activities, peace-related activities that you are currently involved in, and what you're interested in, just so we can get to know each other a little better. We are a network of women, so we should really be having more time to engage with each other and get to know each other across Canada. So we're really excited about this. I will also be sending the agenda. I know a couple people have asked me, it just needs a couple tweaks. So that will be being put in the chat very soon, and get ready to be broken up into your rooms. So they should be getting started.
You just press join?
Yes, press the join, and you should be going into a new room. Okay. Hi, Judith. Hi, Abby. Hi, Earl. How are you all?
Hello, Vanessa, can you hear me?
I can. How are you?
Very well, yeah. Listen, I'm here in an observer capacity, so I'm not sure if I should participate in your breakout rooms.
It's up to you. You can go to a breakout room. You can stay in this main one. You're welcome everywhere.
Oh, thanks very much. Okay, I'll listen. If I think I have anything to contribute, I'll speak, but otherwise I'll let the members carry out your meeting, okay?
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
Abby, are you okay?
Hi, Vanessa. Yes, I'm here. I won't be able to take part in active discussion. I'm zooming on my cell, for one, that doesn't give me options to go into a breakout room. But more than that, I'm outside. I've got some work that I have to do today. So I'm participating by listening, and I may figure out a way to chime in to say something important if I have to, but it'll be too awkward for me to follow this, do anything but follow it. I'm really glad it's on today, and I'm glad to be here. And I think this is a welcome, a way to do the AGM on Zoom. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it is nice that we are able to connect across Canada and that people are more used to doing things online now because of necessity from the pandemic. But I do understand it would be a little bit difficult to participate from the phone and breakout discussions. But yeah, happy to have you on. I've seen your name come up throughout in the membership and everything, so it's great to meet you.
All right. Yeah, to talk online. Yes. Okay, I'm here, sort of on standby, so I'm actively listening.
Okay, sounds good. And
Thank you.
Earl, I've also seen your name come up quite a few times on different things.
I'm currently chairing the Canadian Network to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, as I think you know. So it keeps me busy at this point. And we'll be having our AGM probably closer to the end of this month or even in early December. And as you know very well, Voice of Women is an active member of the network. So I'm delighted with the interest that you're taking in nuclear disarmament and the work that I know you have in mind. And I was chatting or emailing with Lynn a few times this morning, so trying to get a sense of, she's trying to get a sense of the context. And of course, all of that has changed pretty dramatically in the last hour and a half with Joe Biden being president-elect in the United States. So we think we'll have a much more valuable environment, or a much more enabling environment in which to work going forward, but we'll see.
Yes, yeah, I agree. It's been very tense this last week. Quite a roller coaster.
Yeah. May I? Oh, sorry. You have someone else has just joined.
Yes, I'm just going to send out a broadcast message. Just to make sure that people know that there's going to be 2 minutes until we come back. Hi, Ronnie, how are you?
See a link, to the Zoom. It was the last link was November the 4th.
I did just send out a reminder, but I don't know. I know a lot of people have mentioned that they've been getting it in their junk box.
Oh, really? Wow. I didn't look in my junk box.
Yeah, I know, which is really, really frightening, actually, that my emails are somehow being flagged as junk. But how are you today?
No, I'm good. I'm good. I spoke to Janice last night. What happened? Janice.
Vanessa, perhaps I could mention that I mentioned to Lynn this morning that I'm going to have to leave around 2 o'clock. I'm afraid I have a personal commitment. But I know that you have Alyn, Ware, and Vanda as resource people for the discussion around the movie, The Man Who Saved the World, which I have seen. And they are fantastic, both Alyn and Vanda. So you're in good hands. They can answer any questions, certainly that I could, and many more.
Yes, that's wonderful. I know when I saw the movie, I was quite moved. It was such a great film, and when it was suggested that we show it at the AGM, I was so excited because it really is a film that should be watched, especially right now with the 50 ratifications. And I think there's quite a momentum right now for abolishing nuclear weapons. So I think it's well timed. But I do understand when you do have to go. But yeah, we're very excited for the film and the discussion.
Good.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Just wait, there's a couple people. That are just coming back in.
Okay, so while we're waiting for them, I'll say thank you very much for everyone for coming today. We do have our quorum so that we can have a formal AGM, although we don't really need to make a lot of formal motions today. It's really great to have this representation from the membership. So again, thank you for coming. Shall we go ahead? Yes, we're back up to 43. That's pretty good. Okay, so I'm now going to hand it over to Judith, who's going to say a few words about some of our members and supporters who have been part of our lives for a long time, but are no longer able to be with us. So over to you, Judith, please.
Okay, I'm going to read the names of Voice of Women members and allies who died during the past year or so and light a candle for each one. I bought these candles in Halifax on Spring Garden Road when the Voice of Women AGM was there a couple of years ago, and I went shopping with Bridget. If any of you know any of these people and you want to add more information, please do so in the chat. And I'm going to end on a personal note. So if there's somebody that I've missed, please add them as well. Betty Kobayashi Essenman died on March 10th, 2020, age 99 in Halifax. After her children were over, she did a master's at the University of Montreal and eventually became an expert on Inuit clothing. Her 1997 book, Sinews of Survival, is the seminal text. She was awarded the Order of Canada in 2002, and the Voice of Women and Amnesty International figure prominently in her political activism. Lois J. Sprague, 1930 to March 20th, 2020, was a fifth-generation Canadian from Windsor, Ontario. Lois and her husband, John, were married for 66 years. After raising her family, she taught school, and she was a very active volunteer in Salt Spring and a proponent and early supporter of peace and environmental issues. She was chair of the first and early recycling program in Guelph and active with the Voice of Women, Canadian Peace Research Institute, and the Raging Grannies. Carmela Sebastiana Hutchinson, 1961 to August 19th, 2019, was a feminist disability leader, one of Canada's most outspoken mental health activists and advocates. She lived in Alberta. Kathleen Tudor, 1925 to 2019, age 94, in Nova Scotia. Among her many accomplishments, she was the founder of Roseway Press with a mandate to publish first-time authors from Nova Scotia. Helene Jones, born in 1936, died May 9th, 2020. She was raised in a Doukhobor community in British Columbia. In 2003, she returned to the Castlegar, BC, and became very active in the Kootenai United Nations Association and in peace activism, and served on many committees and for peace and justice. She deeply valued the work of Voice of Women and always was supportive of Voice of Women participation in local events. Jean McLaren was a committed activist on the West Coast. We honor two men, Kevin Cease, who was an effective organizer who spoke at the Toronto World Beyond War Conference, and David Graeber, 1961 to September 2nd, 2020, who was an American anthropologist, anarchist activist, and who coined the phrase, "We are the 99%." So if I've missed anybody, please add them to the chat. I want to end on a personal note. I acknowledge, sorry, my husband Jonathan Wolk, who died last year, but he wasn't on the list of acknowledgements last year. And I also light a candle for my friend Alma Norman, who was a longtime Ottawa activist in the peace and justice movements and a raging granny. She died yesterday through medical assistance in dying, surrounded by friends and mentally alert and full of humor to the very end. So with this tray of candles, we honor our political ancestors. Back to you,
Thank
Lynn.
Yes, thank you, Judith. Yes, we're sorry for your loss, and thank you for bringing all those people's memories to us today, because our members are special. They're ones who make this work happen. There's been a request for the agenda, so I'm just going to post that briefly in there. But just to tell you, what we will do next is have regional reports, a couple of minutes each on the regional reports. And then we will have a national report from Vanessa. We'll have a financial report, board nominations. Then we're going to take a poll on the interests and concerns that you have, that you might, and any expression you might want to make about that. Oops, I'm not sure what's happening here. I'm trying to put this in. So let's see if it goes. Yes, there we are. And then at that point, we will, once we finished our meeting, we will transition to looking at the issue of how we can end the threat of nuclear war. There'll be a short transition to that, and Charlotte will welcome our speakers, our guests that are coming in, and we'll be on to the film between 2 and 2:30, probably closer to 2:30. It is a 2-hour film. The film, and then we will have a discussion after the film for those who can watch the film this afternoon and stay with us. And otherwise, I do believe we can provide a link to folks if you were not able to stay for the full screening of the film. So that's basically the agenda that we're going for. If you do have a question or comment you want to make, please make use of the chat. If you raise your hand, we might see you. We might see you, or we might not. But if you put a note in the chat, does everybody know how to kind of scroll your cursor to the bottom of your screen? And there's a little tab that says chat. So you can click on there and make any comments you want to share with us or question. So yes, beautiful tribute. Charlotte is saying thank you very much again, Judith. So moving on to our regional reports, let's start in Nova Scotia. Do we have a report? Rana, I believe, from one of our board members in Nova Scotia. Rana, are you there?
Rana, you're on mute.
Oh, what's the problem? The mute button.
I'm so sorry for that.
Yeah, here we are.
So the VOW AGM report from Nova Scotia is, as everyone knows, Janice likes to say, we're an active chapter. So very quickly, Nova Scotia VOW made shrouds to cover the cannons and laid white poppy wreaths at Point Pleasant Park during our Halifax Remembers Peace Ceremony on Remembrance Day 2019. We participated in the rally protesting the Halifax Security Forum and the December 6th Not So Silent Vigil commemorating the Montreal Massacre. We co-sponsored 2 rallies, Women, Victims of War, and No War with Iran. We read the report on Lord Dalhousie's History of Slavery and Race and are now reading the summary of the final report on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. We also participated in an online training in nonviolent communication. We successfully lobbied Halifax Regional Municipality to join the ICANN Cities Appeal, whereby the mayor sent a letter to the Prime Minister asking for Canada to sign the UN Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. We held a bell ringing ceremony in the Grand Parade on Hiroshima Day, where we laid white poppy wreaths on the cenotaph. We have also been crocheting white poppies as a symbol of our commitment to peace, but I think most of that credit goes to Catherine, who's joined and is going to be becoming our member. Thank you.
Thank you, Rana.
Yes, thank you, Rana. And now New Brunswick, Bridget Grant, would you like to bring us a report from New Brunswick? Bridget, are you unmuted? Are you there?
I have been muted. Now I'm unmuted.
Okay.
Yeah. For years, New Brunswick VOW has met in late November for a potluck dinner at Lucy Dyer and Katie Fitzrandolph's house, a highlight of our year, to hear about the activities of the National and make plans for the NB group in the coming year. About 20 people come to that. We met last November 2019 and set a date for another gathering early in the spring to discuss different sources of information about world affairs and where we should focus any actions. COVID-19 put a stop to that meeting. When the call came to protest fighter jets, as our Green Party MP Jenica Atwin was then in Ottawa, and she had not, I understand, kept her office open here, one of our members, Judy Coates, wrote a letter to her with copies to local media. Judy asked me to be the name to which media could address questions, but there were no questions and no answers. But the quick response that came to my recent request for proxies for this meeting, in case we weren't able to reach quorum, which we've much succeeded, which is wonderful, exceeded, suggests our group will revive as soon as COVID-19 permits.
Thank you very much. Bridget,
Thank you, Bridget.
great. Okay, so let's moving on to Ontario. We don't have an active chapter in every region of the country, so we're just going with active group reports. At this point, if we have reports next year from more other active chapters, we'd be glad to include them. So Ontario, Vanessa, did Melissa not make it on the call today?
Yes, Melissa sends her regrets, but I think I can do a quick summary because our national office is in Toronto. So Melissa and I have been working together very often on events, and a lot of the events that were in Ontario moved online, and so we shared them at the national level, which I will share in the annual report coming up. But Melissa spearheaded a couple of initiatives this year. She continued the No to NATO protests, but because of the health crisis, we moved those No to NATO webinars online. Before the lockdown came, we were also having, it was called Pints for Peace, and we were trying to get more youth involved by having a beer at a local eatery. And then she also spearheaded Self-Care for a Vow Activist, which is trying to take care of ourselves and not burning out while we do all of our great social justice work. So that was the main events. But last year she was also doing Peace Poppy events, but because of the lockdown, those have not come back up around Remembrance Day, at least in Ontario. So I think that is the gist of it, the big ones.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. Okay, so we're going on to BC. Hannah, can you take that on?
Yes. Hi, everyone. So glad to see such a great turnout. There has been a very active chapter on Salt Spring up to recent year or two. However, they have still continued on. So Jan Slackoff sent the report, and I'll just read what she had to report on. We keep organizing Hiroshima Day commemorations, as we have for over 30 years. This year, the keynote focused on how othering is at the root of war, including the bombing of Hiroshima and racism, which exists in our community as well. Letters were sent to various MPs, urging them not to go ahead with buying more fighter jets. Healthcare, not warfare. And now I'd like to share various events that occur in our region. Voice of Women has, to a certain degree, representation. And that includes whether it's just being able to send regards, sometimes as the local board member, I'll be asked to say a few words. So here's some of the events that there has been representation. Black Lives Matter rally in Castlegar actually drew approximately 300 people. It was amazing, lots of banners and great participation by youth. The West Kootenay People for Racial Justice was a wonderful event, a gathering at the local park in Nelson. And it was very heartwarming to have diversity and hear some concerns with respect to local RCMP not having discretion. Fridays for climate change has been constant, and the youth come out in large numbers. It's very, very, very inspiring. And I absolutely love some of their placards, and they gather in front of City Hall, and a lot of other people going by and honking and so on. Wonderful. The Kootenay United Nations Association is the longest standing chapter of UN Canada. And so we have attempted to commemorate most of the UN days. So the International Day of Peace, Hiroshima Day, and so on. But one outstanding event that has continued on, I think this is going to be, last year was the 28th or 29th year, are people gathering at the border near Suez, as well as on the US side, on Mother's Day. And they walk towards the border. This year they were not able to, last year they were not able to cross over, but people still gathered. But in Nelson, and I see Toyna is on the here on participating. We have been having, I think, our 4th Mother's Day Peace event rally in Nelson. And Toyna is very, very talented and always performs just amazing, occasionally with her daughter as well. We've also have a fairly active interfaith justice and human rights, and looking forward to having an event on December the 10th, Human Rights Day. And finally, in Kelowna, there is a wonderful peace group, and recently we had the BC Southern Interior Peace Coalition meeting there. The Kelowna group, whenever there's a call for some activism, they will go and be in front of their MP's office and so on. And the latest was no jets, no wars. So great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Hannah.
I'll go and watch it in the other room, okay?
Is Sam on there for speaking about Salt Spring, or did you want to add any comment about Salt Spring Island?
No, that's fine. And my connection is really not good. So best not to ask me to speak.
Okay, we'll leave it at that then. Thank you very much. And also a thank you to Charlotte, who's taking our minutes today. So right at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Vanessa for the national report. And again, if you do have any comments or questions you want to add, please put them in the chat. I see that White Poppy ordering information has been entered in the chat. So you can take a look there if you need that. Over to you, Vanessa.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for those great reports. I know a couple people on the call too are interested in starting chapters in their area. I would love to get in touch to help you, and maybe we can organize a meeting with everyone to try to increase our chapters. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to share my screen, and we'll be able to see the breakdown, and then also all of the great work that we've been doing. So I'm just going to start this. So this annual report is mostly just a visual report. There's not a lot of text. As you can see, it's kind of a skeleton, but we've got a lot in there. So I'm not going to read all of this, but it's important to note that this year is our 60th anniversary. We are Canada's longest running women's peace organization. We started with the mandate to abolish nuclear weapons, and although that is still one of our main efforts, we have expanded and we want to continue growing our organization of women and working to build peace through education, advocacy, collaboration, and raising women's voices. So I have a quick, I mean, it's not very quick, it looks like, message here. And I just wanted to highlight that we are still struggling to find one politician that will question the exorbitant military budget. So we recognize how much more work is needed to raise awareness of our political culture's undying faith in the Defense Department for security. So most of us have a loved one at risk of a climate disaster, not being able to pay their bills, their business struggling to keep afloat, catching a deadly disease, or being exposed to racist or sexist violence in their own home, community, or from the government. So we must realize that our biggest challenge is shifting the narrative from our national security to human security, and that is what will move the money. We must see other countries as partners to collaborate against global problems, and the theft of time and money from our younger generations because of inaction and government inertia can no longer be accepted. We must look holistically at peace and security to ensure that the next generation is safe in the world, in their country, in their community, and in their home. So just a big thank you to everyone for coming out and supporting. We want to continue raising women's voices to create a better future for all. And I look forward to spending the next year strengthening our network to promote global peace, solidarity, and prosperity. So we are going to start to get into our campaigns. Early last year, we contributed to Unfinished Business, which you can find on the Policy Alternatives, Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives website. It's called Unfinished Business, and it's about our progress in meeting the goals set out in the 1995 Beijing Platform for Action. This is a big one, and this is sort of piggybacking on the Ontario events. One of our prominent leaders, Tamara Lawrence, has been very diligent in opposing NATO and our membership in NATO. These are some pictures of our protests. And we just want to clarify here that we are opposed to NATO and that we do not believe Canada should be a member. And in fact, the military alliance should be abolished. NATO has been involved in illegal and immoral military interventions for decades. NATO bombed Libya, killing innocent civilians and leaving 4 million Libyans without potable water after deliberately striking a state-owned water facility. Canadian forces flew 10% of those strike missions. And a lot of Canadians don't understand the war and the bombs that we drop on people because of our membership in NATO. So we believe that we should get out, and a lot of our campaigns are around that. The beginning of the year, it was, I think, January 4th, after the assassination of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. There you have co-chair Alyn, board member Charlotte, myself, Ontario coordinator Melissa, and then we also have our friends here at Waterloo saying that we do not want war with Iran. We also did direct advocacy. Here you can see vows with Women, Peace and Security Ambassador Jacqueline O'Neill, vows with Senator Mobina Jaffer. We are also a partner or included in the Climate Action Network, and here you have co-chair Lynn Adamson, and Margaret Rao with Elizabeth May and Leah Gazin. So we are very active. Tamara and Lynn and quite a few vows did a number of university talks with bombing, burning, militarism, and the climate emergency, and the climate emergency, what is to be done. I am going through these quite fast because we don't have too much time, but these will be made available on the website afterwards. So the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women, VOW has brought a delegation for decades, but unfortunately because of the health crisis, it was virtually or greatly reduced, and we were unable to go, but we still participated in meetings with the United Nations Office for Disarmament Affairs Under Secretary General, Ms. Izumi Nakamitsu, the Quaker United Nations Office, the World Federalist Movement, Institute for Global Policy, and collaborated and were included in the Women, Peace and Security, Youth, Peace and Security Compact with dozens of other organizations that just recently launched. Sorry, next. So it was canceled, but our board members who are on the call here, as well as the office of Senator Mary Lou McPhedran, offered an alternative summit, and we were able to be there. There's myself, National Board Member Katrina, National Board Member Alexandria, and then one of our youngest but longtime VOW member, Kasia Slavner, and there we are in the Senate. We also organized a meet and greet, which I hope to do as well sometime next year so that we can get to know each other better. So look in your inboxes for a VOW virtual meet and greet. We also protested the Assange. There's board member Charlotte. We also started a CancelRIMPAC campaign in Canada. I want to give a special shout out to Greer Donaldson, who has been instrumental in so many of our campaigns, but she really was the star and of the CancelRIMPAC. There are petitions in the United States and New Zealand, all wanting to stop this very harmful military war games exercise on Hawaii. So we organized a webinar. We have a current petition. It's only at 167 people, but we're hoping that next year we're going to build on that momentum. We also participated in the global campaign on military spending. We've participated for 8 years. And it is very, very important. We made the cover. There's Catherine Winkler and myself making the cover on the International Peace Bureau's initiative against military spending. And you can read more about that on their website. We participated in the launch of the Africa Climate Action Initiative. Quite a few of us spoke actually, co-chair Alyn, board member Yinka, myself, and then also the VOW Peace Award recipient Ali Rougeau, who's been instrumental in the Fridays for Future climate strike. We wanted to make sure that our members felt loved and not alone. So we organized a webinar called In the Midst of Chaos, How Do We Find Peace? Thank you, Yinka, for really spearheading that webinar so that we can feel quite connected. We had an impressive lineup of speakers, and thank you to everybody who joined us for that one. Okay, this is one of our main campaigns right now. On July 24th, we organized a National Day of Action Against Fighter Jets. We partnered with 18 other organizations, and we held 22 protests across Canada. It was a great success, and we now have a committed network of people wanting to stop Canada's $19 billion plus procurement of fighter jets. This was also our second day of action. This was on October 2nd, and we increased to 25 actions at Member of Parliament offices. The Peace Camp was amazing. I really want to give a shout out to Violet Kamad, who almost single-handedly organized this incredible lineup of speakers and workshops, and it really was a great success, and we got to meet people from the United States even, and we had some really amazing speakers and workshops, and a lot of it was done by our youth volunteers, which I'll get to next in a minute. We also helped the Hiroshima and Nagasaki Day Coalition, one of our partners, with some graphics, and collaborated with them on commemorating the 75th anniversary of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Setsuko Thurlow and Phyllis Creighton were very busy with webinars on webinars, and they did an amazing job. Both Setsuko and Phyllis are both longtime members of VOW. In July, we heard and saw what was needed and the injustice going on in the United States and around the world, Canada too. We have serious problems of racial inequality here as well. We thought we really needed to focus on this issue in July. So we organized a No to NATO webinar, Militarism's Racism and Violence at Home and Abroad, NATO and US AFRICOM. We had the amazing poet laureate Elle Jones, who's a VOW member, and she was absolutely incredible. We also had Margaret Kimberly, who is with the Black Agenda Report. She is an incredible peace activist. And here you see some of our great graphics done by our volunteers. We were going to have quite a few events at the No War 2020 conference. I know I'm going over time, so I'm going to try to go fast, but please look out for us in 2021. We're going to try to get it on again, even if it's just virtual. We'll be there. I would just want to say a special shout out to the summer volunteer program. It has been riddled with controversy, and both students and nonprofits across Canada have been cheated out of money, out of tuition, out of hours, staff hours. So I really want to thank all of the volunteers that volunteered their time under the premise that they were going to get a grant money. And then the government, unfortunately, from the controversy, from you know, whatever it was. They have not replied to our emails or given us any update, but we were so lucky that the volunteers still wanted to stay on with us. So I want to leave you, we're almost done here, just with a quick breakdown, and these are not official numbers, and I see one of them has not come up here yet. But I just wanted to show people a little bit about where we're located. We do have quite a few in Ontario. Since we've been tracking, I know that there was a very strong Quebec Canadian Voice of Women for Peace. Unfortunately, I think it has been eroding over the years, and I'd love to get more chapters and more people involved in the network. So looking forward, oh sorry, a couple more. We did start petitions against RIMPAC. We don't want to facilitate the international arms trade to cancel CancelRIMPAC. That's the No War 2020 conference. We did a No New Fighter Jets petition. That one's at 2,200 currently. And then also Canada to sign on to the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. We did a number of letter endorsements, and just moving on. Feel free to get in touch with us. We are very busy, but we always want to hear from you, our members. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm so sorry for going over my time, but there was so much that we did this year. And it will be made available on the website in a couple weeks.
Yeah, that was a fabulous presentation, Vanessa. Thank you. And we have a very limited budget. We're primarily a volunteer organization. We're very delighted to have Vanessa as our part-time coordinator. She's doing that. And for all the volunteers and interns that have helped, we could not do this work without you. And so if you are inspired to do something in your part of the country, we will do our best to provide resources and support. And also we can publicize together. When we put our voice out together, it's stronger. So do keep in touch with the initiatives you might be taking on, and we can continue to build. So thank you very much, Vanessa. Okay, so I would just like to turn things over to Catherine to give us a brief financial report. Catherine, are you there?
Hi, everyone. So I've got 5 minutes.
Yes. Yeah.
So basically, if anyone wants any more information after, feel free to reach out to me through Vanessa, and I'm very happy to discuss any of this with anyone, anytime. So basically, as everyone has mentioned prior to me coming on, we're a member-funded organization. We work on a shoestring budget of between $30,000 and $40,000 a year. All of that goes to maintaining the office and basically staff hours. So this year, we were hit by the pandemic. We typically raise money in a couple of ways. We have a couple of members that are often give large donations that we use for matching. So we did have that. We also usually have a gala which is a time for us to come together physically, have a meal, and also raise money through various different ways at that event. So obviously we were not able to have our gala this year. So we took a financial hit from that. On the flip side, so we were affected by the pandemic. It has affected our revenue generation. On the flip side, we were also eligible for the Canada wage subsidy. So we applied for that and were able to actually support a little bit more work in the summer because we could receive the wage subsidy. And so we pretty much came out, at the end of the day, we came out pretty much the same as we usually do. We bring in and spend around 30 or 40,000. So that's exactly what happened this year. Mind you, about a third of that money came from the government. So that's something to keep in mind as we move forward. We do need to find avenues for generating that money ourselves in what looks like it's going to be an extended pandemic. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, then.
Okay. Thank you, Catherine. We are very grateful.
Thank you all for your hard work.
For being our treasurer and keeping track of our money and reminding us that we need to. Every year, we very fortunately have been able to find a major donor who will match your donations, and that has really made it possible for us to keep going. So we are not government funded, other than the CERB this year did help us out, that program, but the as you heard, the student program didn't come through. But honestly, we are a member supported organization, and we can match your donations. And please do join our PAC, our monthly contribution plan, make donations, whatever you can do to help us out from where you are. And we will help you out with resources and support for activities. Thanks very much. And I think now we're ready to move on to our board nominations.
Lynn,
are you ready? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Apologies.
Yes?
I just see a hand from Bonnie, and I'm going to unmute her. Hi, Bonnie, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, well, because I'm just curious what the annual budget was before the pandemic, how much money we need to raise for the organization to do the work that this incredible organization does annually. Because as I said, I'm just.
Do you mean before the pandemic?
Yes.
It's about, we basically, last year we raised about $35,000, and that's what we spent, and that's pretty typical. It's usually between, say, 29 and 49. Sorry, 29 and 39, depending on the year.
And this year?
This year, we, including the member supported, we raised 30, and then we got about 10 in wage subsidy.
So it's not too bad.
What I will say is that we are currently relying on a coordinator who is donating a lot of time as a volunteer, far more than she should, and she can't afford to continue that. So we are looking to increase our income so that we can provide assistance for her. She has another part-time job, which she has to be able to do. And so we are looking at bumping up, if we could, in terms of 5 to 10 hours per week. So there is more, it's more like a full-time salary combined between Vanessa and an assistant. So, you know, if people are able to give more donations, we will make very good use of them. This is a really important year to push and to have that kind of budget available to us, because there are those opportunities we're speaking about in terms of work moving forward with nuclear abolition and in many initiatives. So if you can afford, anybody on the call to help, please do. You will be getting a mailing that will invite you to donate. Monthly donors are incredibly helpful to our budgeting and planning. And all donations are going to be matched. So I think you may see a link to where you can donate. If that option is not on the website, then just email Vanessa. And Vanessa, you could just put your email that you prefer to be contacted on there, and she will sign you up as a monthly donor. So that would be so appreciated. I can't tell you how much we rely on that and how much we do with the budget that we do have. So thank you.
Thanks.
Bonnie, was that a sufficient answer?
Yes, and if you send an email, I'll sign up.
Oh, great.
Yay.
We have a PAC member signing up today, which is fabulous. So any other volunteers for PAC, we're very happy to hear from you. We really need to increase those numbers, and it's really kind of a peacemakers club that we have. And the link, Vanessa just put up a link for Join, Renew, Donate up in the chat. So we can't do anything without a board. That's what makes us an organization that can function. We're registered and we keep the organization going so that we can be an effective voice for women in terms of peace building across the country. So I'm going to turn things over to Janice Alton, who has been a co-chair of mine for many, many years, and this past year has become the past chair as Hannah and I took on the responsibilities of co-chairs. So Janice, I'm going to pass it over to you as you handle the nominations for the board for this year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lynn. You can see what a wonderful engine we have in the office with Vanessa. But in addition to that, we have another important little engine that keeps us going, and we meet monthly. That's our board, and I'd like to acknowledge 3 women who have been on the board who are stepping down, and then I will read you the names of the women who will be the board coming in with 2 new additions. They're stepping down, and maybe you could wave if you're here. Alexandria Kazmarek from Manitoba, Ellen Judd from Manitoba, and Judith Woke. We heard from Judith from Ontario. So those 3 are stepping down, and we really so appreciate their contributions to the board. This 2021 incoming board will consist of Lynn Adamson, Hannah Haddican, Yinka Oileo, who's coming in as our secretary, myself, I'll stay on the board, Bridget Grant from New Brunswick, Ainun Afrose from Ontario, Charlotte Sheesby Coleman from Ontario, Katrina Leclerc from Manitoba. I maybe have that wrong, Katrina. Are you BC? Yes, BC. I had made that mistake before. Marla Slavner from Ontario, Rana Zaman from Nova Scotia, and the 2 new folks that we're welcoming aboard are Catherine Winkler from Nova Scotia and Charlotte Aiken from Ontario. Catherine and Charlotte, I think I see you both. Could you just wave and maybe put your sound on and tell us one important thing about you, Charlotte?
Hi there. I see there are 2 Charlottes, so this could be a bit.
Yes, Charlotte Aiken.
One important thing about me is that I am a nuclear disarmament activist, and I think I became one about 9 years ago when I had a debate in my US history class about dropping the atomic bomb, and I was the only person on the anti-nuclear side. And so as a crying 16-year-old in my US history class, I think that's when I became a peace advocate. So I'm really happy to be joining this wonderful organization on the board.
Thank you, Charlotte. And Catherine?
Thank you for welcoming me. I like to crochet peace poppies, and they've become a really interesting symbol and a way to address the excessive militarism and
Show us the
patriarchy.
peace poppy up close, Catherine.
Oh, okay. I was busy getting into the patriarchy, but here it is. So, yes, I'm really keen as a feminist that has spanned many decades of predominantly a white patriarchal system to open to the world the way it should be, in justice and peace.
Thank you, Catherine. We don't have any competitors to fill the board positions, so I'm just going to proceed with the process of claiming the board, and I'll ask you.
I can put the slate up, I believe. Yes. I can share screen and put the slate up. Shall I do that?
Sure, Lynn.
And then we'll get people's affirmation. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yeah, there we are.
And I'll just scroll down because it actually 2 pages. I'll see if I can scroll down here.
And I also see there's a hand up by, is it Vita? Would you like to say something?
Maybe she's responding to my next step, which is just to acclaim this slate.
Let's just see if there's any questions first. If Vita has a question or anybody does. Otherwise, we'll move to acclaim the proposed board. Is there any question? If not, we can go to a thumbs up, right, on the board. We need a mover and a seconder. I think that's what we should have here.
Sorry,
so maybe Janice is moving.
Sorry, I just see Vita. Do you have something to add just before we vote?
Oh, no, this goes back to the previous financial report. I just was curious about whether your donations are tax deductible.
Yes, it's a great question. And unfortunately, they are not currently. So we are a nonprofit, but we're not a charity. So
Can I just add to that, though, that we have been able to arrange a charitable receipt for recent larger donations. So if you're interested in donating but would need to have a charitable receipt, please send us an email. So if you do donate through the link that was provided here, you won't get a receipt, charitable receipt, as Vanessa explained. We need to go through another organization to arrange that, but do let us know if that would be helpful in terms of a donation you might be able to make.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's just a recent arrangement we've started to make.
Okay, great.
Thank
Can
you.
Stop down again, please?
Can I scroll up again?
Yeah, thanks.
We'll do that.
I think to proceed to the acclamation, it might be easier since I can't see you all on the screen. We are so many, which is wonderful.
I'll stop the share now that everybody's seen the names, and then we'll be able to see people better.
Yeah.
There we go. And if we go into gallery view, I'm going to go into gallery view, like up on the upper right-hand side of your screen, you should see a view button. So if you go into gallery view, you can see everyone. And so,
Lynn, I think I'll proceed by asking if there are any objections to this slate, if you could speak out now. Otherwise, we will consider the slate adopted.
and I can also see people's thumbs up. So if you put your thumbs up, I'm looking at the screen. So if you'd like to support this, please throw your thumbs up and I can go across the screen. And again, if you have any questions or concerns at all, please let us know. Otherwise, I'm seeing all thumbs up right across the screen from everybody that's putting something up.
And
Good.
Lynn,
So,
in the
yes.
chat, Diane McIntyre has moved to acclaim and Marla seconded in the chat.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I will just wrap up with one more comment, and that is that you can see the leadership of Lynn and Hannah and myself acting as co-chairs and recent co-chairs, that we're not under 25, we're not under 30. So we're very interested in maintaining the organization, and we would welcome more youth membership. And we are very happy that Charlotte Aiken is joining us. She's obviously a younger person. That's what we need to help us keep going. We hope for at least another 60 years.
And
Thank you.
Appreciate Katrina and Alexandria was on this last year too, bringing a youth perspective. Much
Yes.
appreciated.
Thank you, everybody.
And Vanessa, sorry, were you going to add?
Yes, and Yinka as well.
Thank you, Yinka. You're so accomplished that I don't always think of you as youth, but you are definitely younger than some of the rest of us.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And okay, so I think we have our new board. So good for us for moving on at this point. And Vanessa, do we have that poll that we wanted to take for kind of a closing of the meeting?
Yes, and apologies. I think it ended up getting shown a little bit early, but I think that is not such a bad thing because we are running a little bit over time. So if you've seen a pop-up come up asking you a question, which piece priorities do you think is most important for VOW to focus on? I can I'm going to end the poll, and I'm going to share the results. So the results look like linking militarism with the climate crisis is the winner as what we should be focusing on the most. And there's also a lot of support for getting more youth involved, peace education, and collaborating for abolishing nuclear weapons. Also building the peace network, which is I'm just going to take a screenshot to make sure I keep this. And we'd always love your input on what you think that we should be focusing on. We are a membership-based organization. We're a network, we're a family. So feel free to reach out and let us know if you think there's something important that we should be looking at, focusing on, and doing something about. We're all in this together, right? Thank you. And I think now we are going to be almost ending the formal meeting and just looking back at the...
Yes, you have an opportunity to say a couple more things if you would like to, Vanessa, but I kind of gave a pitch earlier, so I don't know if we need to add to that. But I'd like to put a photograph up on the screen before we transition to the next part of our agenda. And let me see if I can do the screen share again. Let's see. Oops. Share screen. Yeah. There we go. Catherine Winkler sent me this photo. Can you all see it? It says never again. We are trying to create a world through our building of a peace culture that never again allows for the horrific results of war and militarism, and see the wonderful peace poppies that are on the wreath. So thank you, Catherine, for sending that. And I want to also give regrets from Tamara. Tamara is one of our most active members, Tamara Lawrence. And unfortunately, she lost her brother, and she is not able to be with us today, but she contributes so much to our organization. So I think it's important to thank her. And so, yes, so now I'll transition a little bit with introducing the rest of our program, and then we will take a short break before the film starts. So for those of us who can stay on for the film, please do so. I'm just going to stop the share. Thank you again, Catherine, for that. And just say a couple of words about moving on. First of all, I want to thank Vanessa and others that have brought up all the issues around Black Lives Matters and on Indigenous solidarity in terms of even naming the nations that are on the lands that we live on. We can't do enough of that, of building it as what's called an intersectional analysis and working across what appear to be differences to our common future. And I want to just note that that's such an important thing for us to be doing at this time. And now I'm going to move to the next part, which is, first of all, I want to thank Nancy Covington, who is our representative on the Canadian Network for the Abolition of Nuclear Weapons, CNANW. And she can't be with us today, but I asked her what we should be doing around the nuclear weapons issue. And we need to be organizing across the country through Mayors for Peace. There's 109 communities that are part of Mayors for Peace across Canada. And if your community is not one of them, one of the things to do is to add. And if your community is one of them, one of the things to do is to get them to call on the federal government to sign the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, which Rana was reporting in Halifax, that the VOW members in Halifax managed to get them to do that. Toronto has done that as well. So that needs to expand. We need to put out an immediate statement because the TPNW is coming into effect in international law in January, because 50 countries have both ratified and signed the agreement, but Canada is not one of them. So that is why we need to redouble our efforts to get Canada involved. There are various open letters and statements that we can sign and be involved in, but nothing replaces individual contact and organizing in local communities, because that is really the most powerful steps to take going forward. So I think I'm going to leave it. That's very brief, but just to say, we want to create circles for some of our key concerns this coming year, which would be groups that would meet every month or 6 weeks to move forward on a particular issue or concern. And one of them will be the abolition of nuclear weapons. So if you would like to join or participate in a circle on a particular theme, what you want to work on, feel free, please pop it into the chat and we will keep track of that and contact people and work at creating those circles in the coming years so we can coordinate our work across the country. It's not enough just to have a board, that's kind of the structure, but to have active, engaged members on particular concerns is the way to go. So if that is enough of a little bit about why it's important for us to work on this issue at this time, then I will pass things over to Charlotte, who will introduce our guests for today. Are we ready to do that? Before we do it, we're kind of closing our AGM. So let's acknowledge that we've done our AGM very successfully. Maybe appreciate each other for that. It's fantastic that you've all come today and we've been able to do that together. So thank you. And over to Charlotte.
Thank you, Lynn. As luck would have it, I'm just starting to sneeze. And I just wanted to ask a quick question of Vanessa. If you can save the group chat for me so that I can include that in the minutes, that would be great. I know it can disappear, so I just wanted to get that out there. So as a very special component of our 60th AGM, we are extremely excited to be able to share the gripping documentary about Stanislav Petrov, the man who saved the world. Alyn Ware, who facilitated the showing for us with the permission of director Peter Anthony and distributor Jacob Staberg, is an exceptionally accomplished longtime global leader, spearheading education and forward movement in issues of peace and security, with a special emphasis on nuclear non-proliferation and disarmament. Alyn has graciously agreed to join us today to introduce the film and to host a discussion and Q&A session following the screening. We are also thrilled that Alyn's accomplished colleague, Vanda Prošková, the director of the Gender, Peace and Security Program within Parliamentarians for Nuclear Non-Proliferation, of which Alyn is the global coordinator, will also be with us today. Alyn is joining us from Prague, and Vanda is joining us from Brussels, where she's doing postgraduate studies in international relations and law. I saw the film recently with Alyn and the director, Peter Anthony, hosting a Q&A at the end. And all I can say is it's incredible. It's just an incredible film. And it's available on Amazon as well. So I think that would be great if we could promote that widely. Thank you, Alyn and Vanda, and take it away.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction and also for the invitation to join you today. And then follow up your AGM with the film screening. I'll just say a few words about us and then I'll pass over to Vanda, who will introduce the movie screening. And then I think there's going to be a 5 or 10 minute break so that you can have a coffee or something before the screening actually starts. Either Vanessa or I will give some information about how you can watch the movie directly if the screening version is not working for you. But firstly, just a little bit about us. So as you notice, I'm not a woman and I'm not a Canadian, but I'm very supportive of Voice of Women Canada. And some of you here, Janice and Lynn, have been dear friends for a long time and we've been working together. I coordinate a global network of parliamentarians for Nuclear Non-Proliferation Disarmament, which was initiated by a man, a Canadian, Senator Doug Roach, but pretty soon Doug stepped back and women came to the fore, and our first 5 co-presidents were all women leading legislators from around the world, and it continues to today. Many of our very active legislators are women, including from Canada, and 3 of our leading Canadian members are actually speaking on an event on November the 19th. on Canada and the Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. That's Dr. Hetty Fry, who's a Lib Dem, Heather McPherson, who is with the NDP, and Elizabeth May, who's Green. So I hope many of you will be able to attend that event as well. So we're very happy to introduce the movie to you, which is a movie not just about the politics, but also about the people. And Vanda, who's going to introduce the movie, is the program director for the Gender, Peace and Security Program for PNND, and is also, as you've seen, the vice chair of the Prague Vision Institute for Sustainable Security. And some of you will know Vanda because she may have sent out an invitation to you, and some of you responded, to endorse the Global Women's Appeal for Public Health, Peace, Security and Nuclear Disarmament that was launched on May 24th this year, the International Women's Day for Peace and Disarmament. So already some of you will know a little about her, but I'll pass over to Vanda now, who will give a short introduction to the movie. Vanda.
Thanks, Alyn, for the introduction. And hello, everyone. It's an honor for me to be here, tuning in from Brussels. So let me just quickly introduce the movie so that you know what to look forward to. So as you know, it's called The Man Who Saved the World. It's a 2013 feature documentary filmed by Peter Anthony, and it is about Stanislav Petrov, who was a former duty officer of the Soviet Air Defense Forces and the man who saved the world. So without giving much away, on September the 26th of 1983, the computers in a bunker which housed the command center of the Soviet early warning satellite system reported twice that the US intercontinental ballistic missiles were headed towards the USSR. And if anyone else was the duty officer that night, it is very much likely that the USSR would have launched a counterattack, and that causing the World War III. But luckily, the duty officer was Mr. Petrov, who suspected that the system was simply malfunctioning and mainly managed to convince his superiors of the same thing. And so the world was saved, which is not a spoiler, we all know that. So in the film, the film includes not only reenactments of the very dramatic moments of 1983, but also Mr. Petrov himself in 2000, slowly opening up and sharing his personal remarks on the Cold War and the system. And I just really want to say in the conclusion that it's incredibly touching, it's incredibly human, but mainly extremely chilling and very eye-opening, and it's just an absolute must-see for all of us. If this hasn't convinced you, Kevin Costner's in the movie, and we've done multiple debates in the past with Alyn, both online and in person, and they all led to an amazing discussion and a debate on the topic. And it's always been so inspiring. So we're very much looking forward to having a debate with you as well. The movie is about 1 hour and 15 minutes long, so it's not that bad, and it's just absolutely fantastic, and I cannot recommend that enough. So I think that's it for the introduction. I hope that's convinced you to join us in about 10 minutes. Over to you, Alyn, or
Thank you so much, Vanda, and it's really nice to meet you finally. I've seen you on so many webinars before, so it's great to have you on one of ours. So I just put into the chat, so I will be streaming it from my computer, and so you don't need to leave or do anything. But if it does end up being choppy or not streaming very well, you can go directly to this link that I've put in the chat. And yes, please be aware that this is a link just for us that was graciously given to us by Alyn. And it will expire not for public consumption, but just for us at this special annual general meeting. Okay, so we're going to take a 10-minute break if everyone is okay with that. And then at 2:35, I will start streaming the movie, and you can just sit back and relax to watch it.
And then Vanda and I will join you at the end of the movie to pick up on some of the points of the movie, answer questions, and have a discussion.
Yes, so please stay tuned, come back, and join us as we learn more. So thank you, everyone, and I hope to see you on, and we'll be screening the movie very shortly.
We said that we're coming back. Sorry, we're coming back to start the film at 2:35, so we're like 5 minutes behind the scheduled time. But we will then be in discussion by about 4:20 with after the film, because it is a long film, but it's a very gripping film, so it will not feel long to you. So grab a snack and a drink and do come back. And if you can't come back, thank you so much for joining us today. And if you're using that link, I think you better use it soon. I think that's the message from Alyn, because it is specific to our meeting today, access for today. Thank you, Alyn and Vanda as well. And we will see you after the film. So thanks, everybody, and see you in a few minutes if you're able to come back on. And the link stays open, so you can also just hang out here and even talk, informally, have a chat, say hello to people you haven't seen for a while, ask questions, anything like that. Looking for that. Maybe I will see if I can put up the poster for, yes, I think I have it here. For the Canadian Foreign Policy Institute event, which VOW is co-sponsoring, and a number of other organizations are co-sponsoring. I'll just share my screen so you can see it. It is. So this is on November 19th, and it's fantastic that we'll be able to have Setsuko Thurlow with us and Elizabeth May. We want to start putting pressure on our government to take part in this really exceptional opportunity that we have to create a nuclear-free world for our children and our grandchildren for the future. So a reminder again that if there's an issue you'd want to be involved in with VOW this coming year, pop that into the chat, and we're saving the chat, so we will have those links and information. We'll be able to follow up with you. If anybody has questions, please feel free to ask them. I'm not seeing them at the moment because I'm screen sharing, but maybe someone else will see them and can ask them.
I have something to say.
Is that Bonnie?
That's Bonnie, yes.
Go ahead, Bonnie, please. Thank you.
Now that I've been trying to avoid it, but now that the US election is over and Trump has lost, he's got until January when he has to give it up. I don't know what date they have the inauguration, but he's had from now until then to push the button and get us all annihilated so he doesn't lose the election. I'm so concerned that this madman is going to do something terrible between now and the time they finally throw him in jail. That it's the kind of thing that keeps me up at night. So has anybody, like this guy in this movie presumably had the sense to realize that something was wrong with the buttons, but and that's great, but Trump has his fingers and 5 toes and on the button. I hope that there's somebody there now who will know as well as the person in this movie that they shouldn't follow his lead.
Yes.
That's all I have to say.
Yes, it is a very tense time right now. There's some relief with what's happened in the US election, but there's going to have to be an awful lot of work going forward. And it is going to be a tense time between now and January 20th, I believe it is, when the inauguration would take place. And we just have to count on the fact that many of our US friends are really working hard. There's initiatives around training people for nonviolent resistance and nonviolent presence in the streets, and tens of thousands of people across the country in the US are participating in those. So we need to hope that they're doing that, and also hope that all the advisors that are working with the president, the current president, are helping him get ready for a transition. We have so many things we need to work on.
I know, I mean,
in Canada and with the US, but there'll be a little more hope for that. I think with the new administration in the US, it's going to be hard because the Senate is not necessarily going to be working with the transition, the Green New Deal and all of that stuff. But we, you know, I have great faith in the youth movement in the United States, the Sunrise Movement. Absolutely incredible, the work that they're doing, the same as the Fridays for Futures Climate Strike group is doing here. So that's all pretty incredible. We have just a couple of minutes, and I was wondering if I could see if I could share this little video of Elizabeth May with her 1 minute member contribution at the in the House of Parliament, because she raised this issue there. Let me see if I can manage to do this share screen, if I can get the sound with it. Let me just see. I haven't done this before, so let me see if I can you, first of all, can you see the YouTube start there? I just don't know where I need to press to get the sound. I don't know, Vanessa, if you can help me with that.
We can see it, and it should, if you play it, it should come through as well, the sound.
Let's see if we get the sound.
Unfortunately, I can't hear the sound. The sound is quite.
Okay, can I pop the link in the chat, and can you open it and do it? Because I know there's a button you press to share the sound, but I don't see that button right now.
Sure, I can give it a try. Let's try it out.
I can't stop sharing my screen. Why can I not stop sharing my screen? It's giving me trouble here. Can I email it to you? The
Sure.
link, and you can pop it up, and then I can hopefully get out of screen sharing. Maybe you can make me not a co-host anymore, and that would bump me off. Maybe. Let's see, Vanessa, because it's just 1 minute, and it would be great to see it. I'm sending it to you right now, Vanessa. Maybe that Vanessa at Valpeace, or should I send it to another one?
Yeah, Vanessa at Valpeace works.
There you go. Yeah. So you'll have it there. And I'm going to see if I can get out of my Zoom.
Okay, great. So we are going to start the screening.
Vanessa, would you like me to give a quick reply to Bonnie's specific question?
Oh, yes, please. Sorry, I might have missed something.
Yeah, now we may say this also afterwards, but I don't know if Bonnie can stay till the end of the movie. Her specific question was what might happen between now and January the 20th. Might Trump actually be able to launch a nuclear war, and how can we stop him? This is a very interesting question, because the policy in the United States, as it is in Russia, is that the supreme leader has the authority to launch a nuclear war unilaterally without having to get the permission of Congress, for example. But what could stop, and this came up in the Senate hearings 2 years ago, is that if the president makes a launch command, it has to go through the head of strategic command. And the head of strategic command could say to the president, Mr. President, that is an illegal authorization, and so we as the military are not going to carry it out. And they can do that because they are bound by international law that is applicable to the use of nuclear weapons. This came out in the Senate hearings last year, so we know that there at least is some sense in some of the military leaders of the United States in the nuclear high command that wouldn't just follow on an illegal and ridiculous order for a nuclear strike from the president. Maybe Bonnie didn't hear it because she took the phone.
Oh yes, but that is very interesting, and thank you for replying. Bonnie, I'll just unmute you for a second. I think unfortunately you missed the answer to your question.
Yes, I got a phone call. Can you say that again? Sort of the last part. Somebody called me. I don't know how to turn off the sound on this.
Bonnie, are you staying until the end of the movie?
Yeah.
So I'll say it again maybe at the end of the movie because more people will be back then, and I think it's an important question for everybody.
Okay.
And I think Vanessa would like to start the movie soon, and it definitely relates to the policy of both the US and Russia. So rather than repeating it now, we can bring that into the discussion at the end of the movie. Is that okay?
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, so we are.
Can you make sure the chat is saved, Vanessa, please?
Yes.
And then, thank you. That'd be great.
Yes, I will. Okay. Let's.